Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Minna Crichton. Today's date is the 1st of February 2026, and today I'm just going to do the usual in an introduction by using my posts. So don't take anything I say lightly. I am basically trying to save my own life at this point of time and trying to finish my court case. So I know that everything about me hasn't been private for years now because of the home invasion that's already caused, but it's not just only like a New Zealand thing. It's been a global exploitation historically, and I can actually prove that in my personal property. So at this point in time, I'm continuing with my court cases. I feel it's relevant that I keep my court cases public because it doesn't matter how private I am. They have coded me, and they're just tipping each other off, and then the sabotaging takes place, making it really unfair on my side. On myself, they've turned me into a human product. That's quite evidential, meaning that historically they've coded me, and then the public scrutiny is moved by the coding, and people, like when people are actually being coded, it's plain English to them. Like they can just read exactly what I'm up to just by the coding, and then their people move. So that's why I've had to expose what's been happening to me on social media as a defense, and unfortunately it links to the government globally too, not just New Zealand government, but I'm evidence too of what they've used me for globally as a product. But in the criminal law, it's actually a home invasion. It's a conspiracy to take over somebody's personal space. But unfortunately, yes, it does link to my court cases and all the unlawful strikes. Because it's my personal testimony, and I am representing myself in New Zealand because we're allowed to. The problem that I've had is the opposition hasn't only been just in New Zealand, it's been a global Commonwealth game where they've coded me, and then all their country or all their people personally are attacking and conspiring to make things difficult, and every single law in the Crimes Act is broken in my case by secret societies. Everything is done indirectly. So basically I've just been a sitting duck historically. Unfortunately, to undo everything, who is the suspects in damaging my personal profile and using me for money laundering, you have to go back to the starting point. Like for me, it started back in 2006 while I was working for my employer. But in reality, at that point of time, I was a very vulnerable adult, minding my own business, just doing my job. But little did I know that secret societies, just by the misuse of the devices, were using it to monitor me and study my personality. And then they use substitute to AVL. I'm telling you, all the laws in the Crimes Act are broken on me. So I am just going through the aftermath of everything. So everything that I'm going through is not my fault. Unfortunately, it falls back onto my employer. There's clear evidence of that. And so, but I would be the kind of person I am, they would classify or call me a whistleblower. So you automatically are a threat to them because somebody internally has committed serious offences, knowing that they too could go to prison or lose their job. So that is what happens when home invasion takes place internally and people conspire, and that is the downfall of the devices, unfortunately. So I'm just going to go with it, and then I'll get on to what's on my heart to share with you today. All right, my case is definitely it's crimes against humanity. Because people have globally used me, others, like, it's once it starts, it doesn't stop. Like, I'll always be a threat to whoever is conspiring. However, this is this is my journey, and I'm doing self-defense by going public, and it is working. And also at the same time, I just know the seriousness of it. It's the offences committed upon me as a human being falls in the umbrella of genocide and crimes against humanity. So, but it's so serious. It is the whole system is set out. If you get caught up in it, once people has a mindset to destroy and kill, they won't stop until they achieve their mission. So I'm going to keep. I don't even know how to explain who's behind it. I just know who they are, and I've just got to keep going with what I'm doing. But it is working. So we're talking about organized crimes, syndicates. We're talking about people in the underworld. The whole system is everyone. Like, feel like I've been forced. I've been locked out from the government and then forced to stay online, and that's the only way. This whole game, they can only achieve what they achieve without getting caught, is they are dependent on the devices to monitor. Basically, you have no privacy. You may think you do, but you don't. But they are always scheming. They're watching me like a hawk wherever I go. I'm being coded. They've got their people wherever I go. They're in the moment, in my space, watching and spying, all because I'm locked out. And it obviously, for my point, has to do with money, reputation, and unfortunately even faith. I know that other religions and cultures have all attacked me because of my beliefs. And so I've been denouncing things publicly, and I've been promoting my belief, because I really do believe that my belief and the God of my faith, which is Christianity, is the true God. And unfortunately, that is my reality. Other religions and cultures have all taken advantage of someone and then glued themselves to me to either destroy my reputation or take over everything about me. So I'm standing against that, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I am the vulnerable adult in my manner, and so I'm still pursuing my court case at this point, and the opposition already knows. It's easy for me to actually tell what people are saying just by watching their coding, because they're talking about me. So it doesn't matter what generation it is, even though they're trying to make it like it's a normal thing to code people and do what they're doing. It's actually wrong, especially when you turn someone into a product. And then I have felt like a whole country have all attacked me and been exiled. Words can't really explain the emotional torment they've put me through. So we're dealing with crimes against humanity, okay? But spiritually speaking, if you're a Christian, there's another realm that's called the supernatural realm, and that is how I am. I would not have gotten this far without my gifts, spiritually speaking. And so I feel obligated to actually promote the Bible and my faith, and I stand by it. I know that I'm not perfect, but in saying that, I am dealing with my court case publicly, and now I'm trying to finalize it legally. So my kind of case is what you would actually call in the contempt of court is a scandalous courts. It's discrimination. It's heinous hate crimes. I'm blacklisted. And it's taken me a very long. If I had known this going back to 2010, that people were actually using a misuse of devices, I probably would denounce what I'm doing, because that is how you oppose the enemy, is by exposing their criminal tactics. It's very dangerous. I've just walked around minding my own business, but in my space I just have felt isolated. I felt exiled, like you just get this ghostly feeling. And I was talking to somebody, the best way to describe it is like you're a bird with no wings. I know that I'm a super independent human being, but it's the fact they've taken everything away from me, and I'm trying to advance myself the proper way, and only for it to be stolen, sabotaged, and then just going through the whole persecution of being exiled and humiliated, and interference. Okay, I've been promoting my YouTube channel because it is my testimony, and it is working, but there's no middleman in my YouTube channel. It's basically all my testimony, all about me and my personal journey. So this video clip I'm going to show you, I'm actually talking about Angela Jones and Heather Hughes. Okay, this is not to put them down. It's just evidence that they were in my private life, going back to 2005 and 2006. Those are the years that these two women came into my life. So I will put this link on this YouTube channel so you can see for yourself. But in this channel, I'm actually talking about, I've mentioned these women in my court cases, it's in my facts. So basically, my case is so serious because the crimes that have committed upon me, it happened while I was working, and this is why privacy breach is very serious. I have actually exhausted the system. There's a total of about 20 judges involved in my case. It's been going on for like 9 years. So it is a malfunction of the government system, but it's not just New Zealand system. It's global, meaning that other government agencies are spying and watching, and it could be anyone attacking globally. That's a very serious situation for any civilian to have to put up with, meaning you can mind your own business in your own home or at work, and then have other secret societies secretly conspiring, spying and coding you and doing what they have done to me. But this video clip here, I'll put the link onto it when I put this clip I'm doing right now, so you can listen to it yourself. But I'm actually talking about Heather Hughes and Angela Jones. I have mentioned these two women in court. I have a reason to believe they're both no longer alive. But all these things did take place, and I believe they are very relevant evidence in my case. And that is why I put their protected disclosure going back to 2010. I know that it's been somebody internally, but that is the problem when people internally are breaking the law. The victims go through a trafficking ring, controlled and manipulated by other people. You don't know who they are, but the things that I have gone through has not been safe. Your human rights are gone, your Bill of Rights are gone, and unfortunately, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I probably wouldn't be alive today to even talk about it. But I know that I am supposed to be doing what I'm doing because it is working, and also only I can actually know the accuracy of where the evidence is and who is behind what I'm going through. But from my own personal opinion, it has been an illegal commonwealth where they've used, different cultures have joined forces using their jobs internally. So that what I mean, joining forces, they're pairing up. But because my case has been going on for like 9 years, they've all joined up. So there's all sort of like one-sided, and I'm outnumbered. So basically I've been outnumbered for a very long time, but regardless how long it takes, it's still a conspiracy. It's still a home invasion on an innocent civilian. According to the law, I would be classified as a vulnerable adult. Okay, so what they did was, I believe, is they dug up my past, and then they all, spiritually speaking, they all kind of took turns conspiring. They're just using their cards, and they can just lock you down with somebody always in your space being a spy.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today will be the beginning of me touching base on the key elements of my court case and the evidence that's been supported or submitted in court in my file from the beginning of when I actually lodged my case with the, using the justice system. Okay, at the end of my case, and as the main
Okay, I'll just stop there. Okay, just making sure that I've got my video on. At this point in time, I met these two women in level 2 at the Waitakere District Court. So that is a crime scene. All my phone calls are evidence. When I spoke to them, even my phone calls at work, I did a lot of phone calls on my breaks from my phone in court, and also in the offices where there's a phone available. I use them for my private calls outside on my breaks. So all that becomes evidence. But at this point in time, I met these two women. I know I've already got video clips talking about them. Everything I say is the truth. Those were my personal testimony of my own incident and my personal journey while I was working for my employer. So unfortunately, my employer is at fault. Because the people that is responsible with what I'm going were the people monitoring me while I was working. But then we're talking about monitoring globally. All they're doing, they're flying overseas, doing the damage, and then leaving the country. So that's what I'm saying. It's a global thing. But this video clip here,
evidence is gathered together, the public will get the understanding of how the project or the scam that I've been subject to and the danger that will put you and your families under if you participate without knowing the other person's side of facts or vision, or in other words, playing games with people's lives. You will learn that someone else's truth is not necessarily the truth unless both sides of the story is heard fairly before an unbiased, prejudiced, or racist audience. What I mean by this...
Okay, so both of these women I met at work, and then I took them to church. So people at church will remember them.
Fresh evidence should be heard in front of an audience where both sides of the story, from both parties are being heard fairly before a tribunal. But yeah, in my case, obviously what's been happening to me has been out of my control. But this is my story and this is my case, so I'll be telling it in my own words. But discrimination is usually a form of a group of individuals who've joined forces to take over another individual's personal territory. And while no one wants to be on the wrong side of the law or be made out to be wrong, unless both sides have been heard fairly, anything outside of that remains not communicable or credible. So today I will be telling what I would call a horror story in my own words, and also in my own words, I wanted to tell what actually happened from my own personal path as far as the reasons why I lodge complaints with using the justice system. And if you have been watching all of my video clips that I've already put on my page, you'd see that in my introductions, I've actually kind of sort of dedicated this channel to one of my friends, whom I would say did save my life. And so really I'm just wanting to...
I'm talking about Angela Jones here. She when she came into my personal space at the Waitakere District Court, when she told me what she did over the counter, I didn't know what to do, but I knew that she was desperate. She was trying to save her own life, and she was a witness to a murder. She said to me that the father of her child was murdered. There's evidence everywhere. Like, I know that I told this to somebody else, but I mean, what do you do when somebody tells you that something like that? And I just knew she was telling the truth, and she was grieving at this time. So she was still grieving when I met her, and she told me the full story. But however, because she told me that story, and I believed her, I didn't know what to do. But all I could do was just be friends with her and get her to focus on herself and her situation. But what would you do? But that is what happened. This is going back to 2006, and keeping in mind I'm being monitored. No doubt she was being trafficked. She would have been spied on by other people, and she's the one I'm talking about in this clip.
Have in remembrance of her, and also to hopefully help somebody else not go, to look out for what to look out for if you've been subject to a scam or human trafficking. As time will go on, you'll understand.
I didn't know in the beginning that Heather and Angela didn't know each other. They both had a similar similar but slightly different kind of a background. Angela had a drinking problem, so she had a few EBA offences on her, and she was European, and she had, so a lot of people would have remembered her. I know because of the time this has been going on, a lot of people that are a witness to my case would rather turn a blind eye and pretend they know nothing about it because they're scared that they would get attacked. But the truth of the matter is, these women did exist. She ended up being derailed out of her situation now that I'm thinking back about what actually happened to her. But she is the one that the last time I saw her was at courts, and I was doing my court case. I was in court, and one of my colleagues, his name is Harley Horne, and I have to mention he's the one who actually texted me to let me know that she was actually waiting there looking for me, but I was actually in court, so she waited for me to come out of court, and I saw her sitting at the back when I was in court, and she didn't look happy, but I knew she was waiting for me to finish court. And that it was the last day I saw her, but I found out on that day too she was there for a drinking and driving offence, and that is the last day I saw her, and I never saw her again. And then I started looking for her. Her story to me was that the father of her child was murdered. She knows he was murdered. He was having problems with him, and he had a car accident in the motorway. The little girl survived the car accident. That's her daughter. But she said, he was murdered because on the week of his funeral, somebody went and raided everything. He had actually made a life insurance, and the life insurance was made out to her and to their daughter. But yeah, so I have reason to believe whoever murdered her probably murdered her for the life insurance, because she was having personal problems in her life at that time. I was her closest friend, but for me at that time, I was concerned at the fact that I went to the police station to report her missing, because I knew she was missing. She'd stopped coming to the counter. And I was just thinking to myself at the time, well, okay, then I know, okay, I never saw her again after that last day I saw her at the Waitakere District Courts. A lot of other court members would remember her. Even the lawyer who represented her, if she had one, would remember who she is. But I never saw her again that day. I also recall the security guard named Ray Smith. He approached me on that day when she was waiting for me at the counter. I could smell alcohol on her, so I got mad at her for coming to me at work because I couldn't talk to her. But I did tell her to come back, come back after work, and we'll talk then. Because it was a busy day, and it was called status court, and my judge in that court, I remember it was Judge Tremuan. So the other thing that I was finding with working with the Ministry of Justice, they had changed the whole system internally. They have, I felt the way that they were doing the system when I was working for the government, they'd changed it where the people's files or even the court staff were being exploited secretly. Instead of case managing and a person case manage one file, and that protects the file of the individual, it protects the case, it protects the lawyers, it protects the judges. But they had changed the system to where everyone has access on who's going to be the judge or who is going to be the court registrar. Back then, court registrars list, like everyone knew publicly, but that's just part of it because it's a public service. So they don't get, unfortunately, if you work for the government to do stuff like that, some things are not private. But they had changed the system where somebody else is scheduling. What I'm saying is other people were scheduling the court, scheduling and organising what court somebody's going to do, where they're going, and that is what they've done and used me for. But at that time, they had changed the court system where the roster was put up in the board at work, and everyone can just walk in the office and look on the board, and they know who's doing what court on that particular day. So that is what happened on this day. But my memory is so good. I even know who my judge was. It was Judge Lisa Tremuan. It was a status court. I don't know how it works now, but for me, working for the government internally, as far as privacy matters, is protecting the court case itself and protecting the people in the court case and the judges, the system internally, they had changed it to where the somebody else was doing the roster, and everyone had access to it. And they could change things all the time. The other concern I had about that, when big, serious, investigation takes place and there's too many people and having access to it, anyone can just easily tamper stuff, just to change it because they know that there is an investigation going on. That is what I have been subject to personally. Everything about me has not been private, but they've exploited me like a product, and then I get all these people from everywhere. I'm talking about the public scrutiny following me and acting out what they're acting out. And sometimes their acting out is really, really wrong, because they're acting out their motives and intents and their inclinations. So everything about me, they're using. They're not only just recording and spying, they're making their indication publicly by coding. So that is what they've done to me, and that's why I've had to actually denounce it as a self-defense and to enlighten everybody else. Hey, this is not good. This is a very serious conspiracy by other secret societies, other cultures, other religions to take over another religion, or innocent civilians who don't even know that they're actually in danger and targeted. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
What I'm talking about with human trafficking, but human trafficking it sneaks up on you, and today with everything,
It is definitely a trafficking
technology,
ring I'm subject to.
you're really no match to the opposition unless you are aware of your surroundings and what's happening to you, your right and your rights, and the laws and what you can do about it. What I do suggest is never go alone, if possible. It is really, really serious and dangerous situation to be in it. Okay, I won't be mentioning any names, but if you have been watching me on Facebook, those who know me or I've already spoken to or have been involved in the case in the past will be able to understand or know who really I'm directing or who I'm actually indicating, because they've been involved in my case behind the scene. But I won't be mentioning any names, but I call this my horror story because it has been a horrific experience for me. While life, everyone has a story to tell, but this one has been the hardest for me. But when I look back,
It took me a couple of years to grieve and get over this. What I have found in my space is whoever was spying on me, they've known she was dead. They knew I knew. And then I went to the police to report her missing. So it's one of those things where they're doing very serious things to me in the moment, emotionally tormenting. They know I know. They know I'm a witness, so I'm a threat to them. But it was a horrific for me because I knew she was dead, and it took me a couple of months to grieve. So I don't know what the government, what they want to call it, but I have a reason to believe whoever was behind the controlling and manipulating, they want to keep me silenced. They don't, I'm a witness to a crime. I went to report her missing. I have a reason to believe she's already dead. But I didn't like what they put me through, because usually I'm old school, and usually in a murder crime, when somebody has suspicion that they've been murdered, all the witnesses are notified, but no one questioned me. And everyone, while I was working for the government, all know about her because she used to come to the counter. But for me, she was still my friend, and all I wanted to know was put closure on her, because I knew what she had told me was the truth, was serious. And then that's why I started putting in all those complaints. I started ringing the cops, but the cops have been very bad on my case. They hung up on me, or they keep referring to my mental health. And obviously there is nothing wrong with me at all, even to this day, but they have made my life a living hell. They have, it's the best way I can describe it. It's like they put a dagger on my soul and then live off my energy. So it is a very serious case of human trafficking and home invasion all together.
back at the situation and the decision that I had made at the time. At the time, yes, I have to say I had no other options but make the decisions that I had actually made at that time was actually right for me. Okay, in the beginning of my videos on the introduction, I had mentioned about, two women whom I was close to, and I really was close to both of them. Both of them, when I get involved with someone, or when when
The other person I'm talking about here was Heather Hughes. Um, Angela told me she had gone back. Now Heather had a she'd had a very not a good life before I met her, meaning the people she associated with before we actually met were not, her association, but before I met her is probably what has endangered me. I had when she came to me, she was in a desperate need. I helped her out to change her life, and I already told this story many times, but this is how she came into my life. She needed a hand, and I gave her money, and then she came back to try and pay me back, and I didn't want to take her money, and instead I invited her to church, and that's how she came along, and she came to church, and then she settled in church for a long time. But at this time I'm talking about these two. Angela actually told me, she basically let me know that Heather had gone back to whatever she was doing before I met her, which made her a danger to me because of her association with gangs and people in the underworld. But I found out, Angela told me what she was doing and warned me about her. And then I just knew that that whatever happens in the future, that I'm at high risk of going through what they were actually going through. They were both in really desperate need for help. But, we all got to make our own decisions for ourselves for safety's sake and to protect your own family. So, but this here, this is what this video clip is about. This is my evidence about these two women. They did come to church. There's a lot of people still alive that could be summoned to court to prove that they did exist. So I'm not making it up. But with the misuse of devices, the enemy has been listening to me, studying me, and then they've tried to erase my life and stop me from actually getting out of their grip. So they've exiled me and steal off me, and then they've glued themselves onto everything I'm doing. Okay, so when I met these two women, I acted out of goodwill. I acted out as a good person for the community, helping somebody in need. But unfortunately, sometimes things can go wrong, and that's when things can backfire. You get into trouble. I haven't done anything wrong. All I did was act out on my goodwill. What happened to Heather when I first met her? She was homeless. She had no one, and I took her home, to my family, to my young children at that time, and I gave her a little bit of a shelter, gave her food, and tried to help her get her own space. She did go to church. She did do well. She got her confidence back. But she is the one that I have a reason to believe she knew the commissioner of police. He came back. He's the one I'm talking about. He had a red bike. He started stalking me. And what I'm telling you guys is what I actually told the courts at New Zealand Police. But they are still inciting about my cases because they don't want anything to be exposed. And so in self-defense, I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's like my word against theirs. But a criminal lawyer can actually summons everybody to court and make my court case go properly legally, like in a criminal jurisdiction. But there are people that are still alive today who can actually vouch, yes, she's telling the truth. Yes, these women did exist. But even to this day, other people, these women, they have family and friends too. I don't know what they're saying about me or my situation. But all I did was out of my own goodwill, I helped them. I tried to protect them. I tried to help them and save them. I knew that I got really close to them and I didn't know what to do because I was outnumbered. But if it goes through the criminal jurisdiction, all these people can be summons that knew them. As you know, as to say, yes, these women did exist. Because what I have found is that they've tried to silence everything about me because of what I have witnessed and the people in my personal space that have been affected. Alright guys, so I'm just going to put up another video clip. This one here. This is for my employment evidence. This video clip is on regards to my employment situation at the time and what I actually did. So I'm actually going over my schedule, what I did at work. Okay, and so what I've done is I've done evidence on my, this is me here.
This is the judge alone.
Me going over my job description during the week while I was working.
Okay, so instead of jury trials, this is judge alone cases where judges, only one judge, the judge makes a decision about.
Yeah, so there is, even though I've had a dysfunctional life and the journey hasn't been easy, but I know more good people in my life than bad people, meaning I've never been associated with any gangs or anything like that.
Because it was their file, it was their case. That's New Zealand laws.
Okay, so I will put those clips on. That's my job activity. I hope everything's making sense with what I'm going through, but it's me actually putting the pieces of my life together. So when you're a whistleblower, they've made me the enemy of the state. Unfortunately, I'm not the enemy of the state, okay? I am a victim of circumstances and they all have used me for a pecuniary advantage internally, but the fact that they're actually inciting globally and have used me for a product is crimes against humanity, okay? So I'm just going over this. So it is cybercrime according to the Crimes Act. So that is what I'm up against. So we're up against people who are doing imposturing or undermining. But in some of my court cases, I did tell the judge that my situation is life and death. And my situation over the years has been exactly that. I have found in the moment people have personally persecuted me emotionally and doing indirect indirect letting me know that they're going to, or making threats to murder or to kill, or they like to pick on somebody that you love and close to. So that's how really evil the connection is. The opposing allies is connected to you spiritually. So basically, I've just used my graphic design post to put my vision in on graphics so people can understand, because we're talking about a spiritual realm, okay? We're talking about indirect offenses, and that is the only way you can self-defense yourself, is recognizing the difference. Okay, while I was working for my employer, just by the misuse of devices, they had studied my personality. Okay, so what I'm going through right now is nothing new because they've been doing it to me for years. So it's not easy, it's not hard for me to recognize, a wrong person or a good person. But while I was working for my employer, they studied my personality, and then they stole my identity and my entity, my character, and my existence. And then I had people just following me. I just felt it, I just knew. But it's called animate or inanimate. So they've actually animate me as the original, and then they've used me for illegal commonwealth. So I've had to denounce that. and people are racist by nature. Okay, so that's what I've been up against. It is a warlike conspiracy because I'm warring against them. I'm opposing them, and they're opposing me because they know that they will go to prison if there's sufficient evidence to prove that they've committed a misconduct. However, everything about me historically, they have secretly blacklisted me. So what I'm going through can happen to anyone. But they have literally, it is this new world order slavery system. And I'm just been denouncing things as they happen. They are fault finding people, okay? After they study your personality, they focus on your faults and then they code you to put you off everybody. And so it's easy for me to understand what they're up to because of their coding. Okay, at this point of time, this here is not a reflection of the boys. This is Unison Dance Crew. This is another issue, big massive issue, money laundering. I've got this in my court cases. These are all the boys at that point of time. I did this out of the goodwill of my heart. Unfortunately, they stole my identity, and then they stole funding money using my name. And so these are all the things that I was subject to when I was working for my employer, and the harassment at work at that point of time was really bad. They were following me everywhere, and it just basically, like, literally in my space, where you couldn't even go to the bathroom to the ladies without being followed. But I knew somebody was studying me and gluing themselves to me spiritually. What I didn't realize, they were actually studying me spiritually too. And that's what actually happened. And then they glue themselves to me, deviation to somebody else. The cybercrime while I was working for the ministry was very serious. Personally, what they do is they conspire by putting complaints. They complained about everything I did, like personally victimize me. So that's why I've sued the PSA, because they did nothing. They left me in there. There was no one there to defend me, but it didn't stop. They just left me in there, and then they changed everything, and my environment was contaminated by being stalked and exiled. Like, I was working and yet I was being exiled. It was really easy for them to set me up. It was so easy. I can't even believe I survived the impact of the cybercrime while I was working, and they did use the relationship scam. All the evidence in my file is all criminal. There's sufficient evidence in there, and that's why I haven't stopped. Yes, they know that I'm appealing it again. My laptop got ruined, but work and income has helped me. So thank you to those that are helping me. But we're dealing with coalitions, like the system set out where agents basically they're wiping out anyone individually who so we can't represent ourselves. But unfortunately, the laws are actually made out for individuals, not actually made out for coalitions. But what I'm talking about, when you represent yourself in court, the legislation is actually made out of an individual civilian. So it's meant to protect us as an individual, and even the body corporate is meant to be is considered as an individual person. So the members all represent, spiritually speaking, the legislation is actually set out spiritually as a human being. But the coalitions are linked to those in government. So it's the politicians. When I was totally shocked when I realized the politicians were actually inciting You know, everyone's got a story, everyone's got a background. Nobody is perfect, but they've all ganged up on me because of my court case and involving my entitlement as a New Zealand citizen. So this here are all the boys at that time, and it was a very sad story what actually happened. But unfortunately now I'm dealing with the people that stole from me fraudulently. Okay, so this is just to. I mean, it was a very. I did the best that I could at that time, but some of the people behind what I'm going through is definitely linked to the Unison Dance Crew, linking to the government. So it's tax invasion. Okay, they stole my identity and then they tried to make me pay for the tax and operated unlawfully because they weren't allowed to operate because there was a court case in the civil jurisdiction in regards to that. So the issue unfortunately does start back when I was working for my employer and nobody stood up for me. PSA let me down, they left me in there, and then everyone took advantage using me like a robot system. So personal experience, this new age system, they don't this I don't know what our government wants to call it, but they don't want me to represent myself. Okay, so they were they these agents and these hosts, and are some of them are actually extremists from around the world. Okay, and they're working together with other extremists within the government in their jobs. And so what they're doing is they're using their jobs to sabotage and impede. And my other thing I have found, they have stopped all my entitlement as a New Zealand citizen. But it is a specific culture, it is a specific religion, and they're inciting globally for each other to help each other. So keep in mind, it's espionage. They've coded each other just by using words. Okay, they've turned me into a product, and then all their people just need to move by just the coding. And I'm sending my applications to these people, and I'm already blacklisted or probably tagged as the state of the enemy because of my court case. Everything is about money. It's, my cases are all worth over $50 million plus. But for me, they did that with me with Unison, and I know they're doing the same thing with my court cases. Unfortunately, it's a Crimes Act if people within the government conspires to prevent a person from getting their entitlement. It's against the law. It's a 2-year imprisonment. Unfortunately, it is the white supremacists, extremists, and they're joining forces, encouraging, grooming other cultures, to conspire against me. So it's like a sport. I'm the enemy, and they're all just taking turns of who's going to sabotage me, who's going to stop me from advancing. And that's been my personal experience. However, body corporates and individuals can be penalised for conspiring to prevent people from getting their personal entity. So you can see how easy it is. They can steal your entity, steal your benefit, and do what they're doing with me. Because I'm going through Henry Cavill's gone through the same thing. So we've both been going through the same thing personally, where other people have invaded our private life and everything else about us, and then they've conspired to stop us from advancing. So I am definitely appealing the New Zealand Police and also IPCA, and they are inciting. However, it is getting better. So thank you for those that believe in me and for helping me. I really do appreciate it. So I just know that I'm supposed to be doing this because it is appalling what they're doing. We're talking about internal corruption. Also, I have noticed that they used the Mental Health Act on me, and they've deleted evidence. But however, that is what is the starting point too. It's going back to my employer. Unfortunately, how they derailed me from my job was definitely a setup. It was all a conspiracy, and it was all intentional so people think that I'm actually the crazy one, and the person that is the substitute linking to the government is the good person. However, they are the conspirator, and then they're doing all these deception publicly and globally on the internet, deceiving the public, and with the intention to deceive. Everything's intentional, while the originals are actually fighting to have a normal life and go forward. So this is the New Age Jack the Ripper. Okay. They are using informants. I have a reason to believe Heather Hughes was also an informant. So that is what they're doing, and they're doing investigations and then finding members of your family to be a spy, linking to the government, linking to my court cases, and that's why they're coding. So basically, I am dealing with a spiritual spirit. It's a mean spirit. It's sadistic, and it's heinous hate crimes. Okay. So they've basically taken everything away from me. They know my situation. Their whole idea is to keep me eliminated, and they, unfortunately, it's so bad. I know that they expect the victims to actually die and never give up and never get their independence back. But I'm a great believer in my belief, and I know that God didn't choose me to come this far to give up, and I'm not going to give up, even though it's been absolutely difficult. But they have invaded my private life. Everyone is affected, and it has been contaminated. So, and it is heinous hate crimes. So this is exactly what they're doing. They are gluing people and then they're switching. It's like having a double life. It's like you're living your life and other people are stealing your energy, your good fruits. If you ignore it, you can't go forward. You just can't have a normal life knowing other people are stealing your benefit. They're stealing everything. They're interfering in everything, in all my relationships. But I'm standing against that, and I still feel God in the midst of what I'm going through. I feel it. But I am struggling. I'm still a human being. I have not found it easy. So basically, it's quite clear that I've been used historically, globally, and they are stealing my entitlements. It is tax invasion, money laundering. It is a global money laundering game using relationship scams and pure interference, and I'm exiled. They have coded me. I know they know everywhere I'm going. The other thing I have found is that people have come in my space in the moment, and then they delete the evidence. It is security. Yes, it is definitely, I don't know who's behind it. It is internal, somebody's security that have to have full access to be able to do what they're doing. But they are killing everyone that is a threat. So what I'm saying is anyone I have discovered over the years that anyone, like the linking and themselves to all my emotions. So as soon as I know something good's happened to me, they take it away. okay? And then they're coding to let their people know. That is very serious. So I'm standing against that, and I will continue to stand against that until my court case is finished. So unfortunately, my case definitely falls under the conspiracy to commit murder, okay? Because that is what their motive and intent clearly shows, and falsifying my medical records. And so I will end this video now because it's like an hour already. I'm sorry I just gone too long, but I just felt in my heart I needed to go over more evidence. And I know a lot of people are enjoying my videos. It is a real life court case. It is my personal testimony. But don't take anything I say lightly. Just a lot of people don't really even know that they're in danger, and then they walk right into a trap. That's how serious the system is. Alright guys, so I'm basically dealing with people internally. Okay, what I'm talking about, when I apply for my applications, by law I'm entitled to the things according to the law, but they are declining it deliberately because they know it's me. Okay, so read your circumstance correctly. There's a consistency of them doing that, and they want to be able to monitor my work as an individual before it actually goes to a judge. So basically they want to read everything. They want to have the upper hand of everything that I'm going through. But that is what they're actually doing. They're inciting secretly, globally, and then relying on their people to do the damage so they don't get caught. So bear in mind, we're dealing with hate crimes, and a lot of people have judged me for all kinds of things, but and they think I'm adulterer. Like some people have this belief that you can't get married again once you're married. I don't believe in that. I don't believe it's anybody's business of anyone's personal set of circumstance. If they want to get married, they can get married. But some religious cults, they religiously hold on to the fact that once you get married, you can't marry anybody else again. The laws does not support that kind of religious or that kind of belief. That is not my belief, but behind what I'm going through, it's about money. That's what it is, because obviously I'm worth a lot of money. But in saying that, I'm a very independent human being, and I have not found it easy them just taking everything away from me, and I can't move forward because they are interfering in everything because they want to have the upper hand, and it's also in relation to money. But what I'm going through is so serious that other people overseas, they will kill you just because of that, because they were talking about property here. I've been denouncing Natalie Vasquiso, and I'm still denouncing that, guys, okay? I know some of you don't believe me, but this is just my faith journey. I've just got to go with it. Henry is well aware of my criminal case, so it's their alliance linking to everything that I'm going through, and all the other women in my past that I've been denouncing is that negative alliance. So you can see how serious my situation is. It's all about money and status, and and I'm always at risk, even to this day, to be murdered. And I'm just taking one day at a time and just going with it. But I like to promote the Bible because to me it is important, but people are misinterpreting true Christianity. I don't believe God. Those that use the Bible and just want to focus on using the Bible as like a religious thing to save their marriage, but that is not true Christianity. Especially it's talking about Jesus, everything about him. He was the Spirit of truth. He stood against That most of his enemies were those from government and those in his personal space. His own people turned on him. And obviously it's because of the historically they've committed pretty serious crimes like money laundering, and they have, and it's easy also to murder. Okay. But so I stand against that, and I'm just gonna just go with this. Okay, guys, this is Heather Hughes here. Okay. And this is where I actually met Angela Jones and Heather Hughes. Okay. There was a phone call that took place where Angela rang me. I mean, these girls rang me while I was at work. So all my phone calls to them is all evidence. The other thing I have found dangerous about the mobiles is people have used me and just kept taking turns. Okay, and I don't know if it's easy to retract those phone calls, because I know that I've actually spoken to the enemy myself, and my phone has been diverted straight to their people. That's been the danger that I've been through. So I don't know how the government can retrace all those things, and even these apps that we're talking to and communicating, they are accessing all that too. But you're talking about a serious conspiracy of money laundering and stealing, tax invasion internally, globally. Okay, so but this is the counter. This is a crime scene that's not there anymore. Okay, they have changed everything, but wherever I go is a crime scene. Okay, so they've just taken turns switching. It's a third party, so they've taken my liberty away, and they want to keep me isolated, and they literally, that is what they've done. It's a coalition situation, and they're deviating it, and all these agents, they're just putting their own people in my space all the time, keeping in mind I'm suing them. It's a criminal case. They don't want, they're trying to protect the system from changing, from making changes so people can represent themselves. But that is my personal experience. So basically, they are all trading in influence. But I'm a product. Everybody knows who I am, and it's been really difficult because I've been outnumbered. Others have tried to help me, or they're too scared to help me. But that is my situation. Alright, guys, I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry this video's taken too long. But yeah.